Welcome to another episode of Espresso Mornings with Domenico Rea. And today's guest, I have a young gentleman that we were at a wedding a couple of years ago. How many years ago was that?
It's 4 years now.
No, it's John's wedding?
It's 3 or 4.
It's not even 2 yet.
He's got another child.
It doesn't matter.
Since.
He makes kids every 5 months. So my guest here today is I know him a long time. I heard a lot of stories about him, and we're sitting at a wedding together at John's wedding, and used to start telling me your story, and the story is from this gentleman here beside me is Johnny Suave, or aka Johnny Mafia. Now he's going to explain to me how he got the nickname Johnny Mafia, but he gave me this really interesting story that kind of inspired I guess this podcast. So ladies and gentlemen, we have Johnny Suave here with us today. So Johnny, tell us the story. I don't know if you remember, right?
Oh, I do.
You do. So we're sitting on the dinner table, and you're like, "Oh, this fucking Egypt is sitting beside me," and I said, "I'm sitting beside this fucking Egypt." And then there was a few bottles of wine to be shared, and then we were just yapping away, and then you told me this story, and I was like, "Wow." This is great. This is fantastic. So can you bring us back?
Is this before I was dancing on my own, like out in the grass? Yeah.
This is, yeah. So tell us. So you were telling me. So So just tell us where we went from. You were telling me your life story.
Well, basically, my mum and dad emigrated to Uruguay back in, I think it was 1953, 54.
Why did he emigrate?
Well, it was after the war, and my dad was a shepherd, as most of us here in Italy, our parents were.
Yeah, my mum and dad were as well.
And my mom basically just used to help around with the farm, with farms. There's no farms in Italy, plots of land, and basically very poor. So my uncle, my mom's brother.
This is before you were born.
Oh yeah, 53. I was born in 60. So he had gone to Uruguay and wrote to my mother and said, "Look, life over here is great, plenty of work."
So your uncle's there?
Was there.
There.
He's dead now. But I still have a cousin there, first cousin.
Okay. And what was your uncle's name?
Augusto.
Augusto.
Duca, yeah. So anyway, off they went to Uruguay.
But why did he go to Uruguay? Everybody was going to New York, or they were going to what was happening right there and then?
Okay, you know the way when Italians came to Ireland, one came, and he told his brother, and he told his cousin, and then his cousin told other cousins, and that's basically the way they came to Ireland. And basically it was the same in Italy. Like my uncle wasn't the first Italian from our area to go there. There was others. There was the Liegios and Ciurefices, who were from Liskit, or Lifusk.
Okay.
And they had gone over, and obviously they were friends because very small little mountain, and said, "Look, things are good over here." And that's why instead of choosing probably France, England, Scotland, Ireland, they went to Uruguay.
And how did they get to Uruguay? How was
it? Was an 18 night and 18 day trip by boat.
Wow. 18 days.
Yeah. Now you could fly over. Now I'm sure that, I don't know whether they flew over or what they did, but it wouldn't have been very safe in those days. We flew, when we came back from Uruguay the first time to Italy, we flew, and I tell you, if you were to get on one of those planes now, you'd shit yourself. But anyway, they flew over, and they went over and told my mum and dad, told my mom that, things are good over there. Don't forget that back in Italy around our place, in those days, like, you'd be trying to find food, like grow things for yourself. Money, absolutely none. It was just basically food, your basic needs.
This is 50...
This is around the 50s after the war in Italy. Like, I mean, things were bad before the war. You can imagine what they were like after the war. So people were struggling even to eat. Now, don't get me wrong, around our area, people have always worked, have always done something, and they've always grown their stuff. So, they had food, no money. In the meantime, they went over to Italy, to Uruguay, and they had me after 5-6 years of being there.
Okay, so they're in Uruguay.
And in 60 then I was born.
Okay. Now, what was your mum and dad doing now? What was their jobs doing?
My mom got a job with, believe it or not, the Roma pasta making factory. Roma.
Right. Okay, cool.
So she was making pasta in Uruguay. And my dad, who never held a brick in his hand, was a bricklayer. Right? So he became a bricklayer. And
what city were they in?
In Montevideo.
Okay.
And I thought my young days it looked like a beautiful place. You know.
Yeah.
I knew nothing else. My first language was Spanish anyway, you know. I knew nothing else, and the place was lovely. It was a nice house and school right across the road, let's say, and things like that. But life wasn't always like that. Like my mum and dad had built 14 flats, let's say, their own house. They had the flats rented, their house was paid for. They had
they were living the American dream in Uruguay.
When I was 6 or 7, we were wealthy in Uruguay.
Wow! So just like in a space of 6 years, they were wealthy.
They were
making it.
Yeah, because they were willing to work, and they did, and they saved, you know.
So just to get your hands dirty, you can make money.
You can make money in those days.
In those days,
but
a lot different now.
In the meantime, there was an uprising there. I think it was Artiga that was the main man. It's like a civil war, and it wasn't all rosy. Like, I mean, we used to go to. There was a lot of sorry, before I go, there was 3 or 4 Italian families living, maybe more, 6 or 7, living around the one place where we were, right? Mm-hmm. So it was nice. They were all friends as well. Mm-hmm.
Now you're right.
Relatives.
You're on the sea, like Montevideo is on the sea.
It's on the sea. No, we were away. We were, let's say, half an hour away from the sea. Mm-hmm. But you know, Montevideo is on the sea. Anyway, all the Italians knew each other. They were all from our area, Casalatigo, and it was nice. You know,
so there was just a gang of people from Casalatigo in Uruguay.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But sure, even now, like up in La Macchia, there's 2 that were born in Uruguay as well. The Matassas, there's
okay.
Yeah, they were born in Uruguay. They were around.
I thought you were the only one.
No. There's plenty more. But anyway, when this uprising was going on, like on a Sunday, we'd be going to the mass. And the church where we all used to go to was probably a couple of kilometres away. So we'd walk, you know, my mother and father, and I'd have a little tricycle and I'd be going 10, 20 yards ahead of them, you know. And guaranteed that every second Sunday you'd find newspapers in the middle of the road covering something. Not in the middle of the road, side, footpath, wherever. Covering something. And one Sunday, my dad said to me, don't go near that. Because I used to always, you know, you'd go and nose. And then I asked, and then he showed. Mm-hmm. He showed me, like, dead people.
Oh, shit.
And basically, if someone went along, they'd cover them with newspaper or throw something on them, you know. So I remember this day, there used to be Sabaduch, and he was a Liegio. He used to live around the corner from us, and they had a little shop, a little sweet shop. And I used to love going around. It was only about 50 yards away. Going around the corner and going there, and he'd give me that little bottle of Coke, you know. Great. I'm going to his shop, and there's a railway tracks right beside the shop. And I seen these 5 guys, a train coming, 5 guys throwing a guy under a train.
So the guy was alive?
Oh, he was alive, and they just threw him under the fucking train.
Fucking hell.
So I run into Sabaduch, says, give me newspapers. Now, this was told to me that I went in running for newspapers. I didn't remember that. I just fucking focused on that fella being thrown, and it stuck to me. You know,
you could still remember that.
I could still remember that. And there's a couple more. So anyway, when I told him he said to me, "What do you want the newspapers?" I said, to go and cover the man, because that's all I knew. Like, I mean, all I'd seen was dead bodies covered in newspapers. 5, 6 years of age. One day I was playing outside the house, the garden. And this woman is running and a man behind her, and she's screaming, and your man is just lashing out at her with a knife on her back. She drops dead right in front of the house.
So you witnessed a stabbing then as well. So you seen someone getting thrown underneath a train.
Yeah.
And now you seen a stabbing in front of your house.
Yeah. And these things kind of stuck to me. But Uruguay, like most of the South American countries, this is a bad one. Like, we went back to Italy in '66, myself and my mom, because she hadn't been back. And
so your dad stayed behind?
Yeah, he stayed there. But sure, you'd have to. if you left your house, you'd be gone.
Okay. So this
Someone
is
would be fucking living in it when you came back. You know. So anyway, we went to Italy, and she loved it over there, and she wanted to move back. So I thought it was brilliant as well. You know, seeing cows and seeing. It was a different life. You know, it wasn't city; it was a farm. Great, but anyway, they decided that they were going to go back to Italy. Back in '66, this was. So my mother had given her notice. They started selling stuff off. So they'd sold the 14 flats. And they hadn't sold the car or the house yet.
What car did they drive?
A little Renault. It was a blue one, and it was a little tiny Renault, actually. Barely fit 4 people into it. I couldn't tell you the make of it, right? It was like a Morris Minor type of thing. Okay. But it was a Renault. Anyway. They'd sold most of this thing. But my mother was, very tight. Oh, I mean, for fuck's sake, it was like try to get
blood from a stone.
$1 out of her. It was like fucking tight as a nun's knickers. But anyway, so she saved a lot of money, and they used to buy gold.
Okay.
So basically, that's what, the peso was useless anyway, and it still is. So the only thing that was good was gold. So anyway, she's coming out of work one day, and this woman outside the factory, says to her, "Would you know what time it is?" And my mother says, "I don't even have to look at my watch. It's 3:15 because we finish at 3:15. That's all the woman said, except, "Can we drop you home?" And my mother, yeah, sure, if you're going that way. So anyway, off she goes into the house, and the woman asked her, "Have you any money?" And she said, loads. Now, they sold, don't forget I said, they sold the 14 flats. They saved money through gold, and they had it all hidden in the house. My mother gave them everything, and then she said, "Hang on a minute, I'll move the fridge, because I remember money fell behind it." So she moved the fridge to get a couple of coins that had fallen and gave them to her. My school was just across 100 yards from the house. So next door to us, there was a black family. And actually, I went to Uruguay in 2020 and met up with her. The daughter, not her, sorry. And I used to go into them, and they'd mind me till my mom and dad came home. So I had a little dog as well. And this particular day...
What was the name of the dog?
Tintin. Like Rin Tin Tin.
Okay.
Right? Anyway, I'm going into the house, and I couldn't cross the threshold of the door, and I started crying, and the dog started barking, and he couldn't cross, he couldn't go in, and yet we could see my mother 10 feet away singing, and all very happy. So the black lady next door that used to mind me came in, moved me and the dog, went in, slapped my mother, and she remembered everything. She'd given everything to the woman. Just whatever, hypnotized, voodoo, whatever you may call it, she gave everything.
Your mum gave?
All her belongings, all our belongings. Just as well, they hadn't sold the house and the car yet. Otherwise, we'd have been fucking penniless. So
your mum got some kind of... She was hypnotized, some kind of voodoo. They tricked her.
Yeah.
And she gave everything away to this woman.
Yeah, and she wouldn't have been the first either. That was going on and on and on in Uruguay. Well, I tell you, talking about trance and all that shite, right? And I was 5 years of age, and I started bleeding from my nose.
Okay.
Now, I hadn't banged my nose.
Okay.
So my mum and dad were worried, and then I started bleeding ears and mouth. So off they go into that little Renault up to the hospital. Forget about calling an ambulance. They were, off to the hospital. And I remember my dad having me, I was 4 or 5, yeah, in a white towel, which was red at this stage. And seemingly the doctors have said he's hemorrhaging. There's not much we can do for him.
Shit.
Right? So my mother and father, my mother screaming seemingly, and my father still carrying me, going out of the hospital. And this black nurse turns around and he says to my dad, "Bring him to such and such a place." So off they went, and they brought me into this little, wreck of a place. And this guy sits me down on a stool. And you know the curtain showers?
Yeah.
It was like curtain shares, right around.
Okay.
And he's going around mumbo jumbing around me, cutting newspaper. I've never bled again. I've never bled from my nose since I'm 6 years of age.
So he cut newspapers
and was mumbo jumbum, whatever he was saying, and that's black magic.
That's black magic.
That is black magic. I'm scared shitless of anyone that does black magic. Fucking gypsies, like Romanian gypsies. I fucking run when I see them. I'm scared. I am, and I believe in it. And a lot of people say you're Ganesian and all this. I'm not.
Okay, so and your mum was into it as well, was she?
Well, she was at this stage. She's nothing else to cling on to. I was dead as far as she was concerned.
Fuck. So she started believing.
This is all before that happened to her.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, she did. She did believe it. Yeah.
So your mum's into black magic now, and is your dad into it as well?
Obviously, he believed because he was told that I was going to die. And this fella did nothing to me except sit me down on a stool and cut newspaper and said whatever
newspaper,
words.
What was that? What were they?
I don't know. Did
you ever ask that question? Did you ever?
Well, I was only 5, 6. What the fuck am I going to ask? I didn't even know I was dying.
Don't cut the page tree.
No. But anyway, after all this, and after my mother had given all the money away, this is a couple of years later, before they left for Italy, she went to one of these fortune tellers. Like, I mean, you know, you've got fortune tellers here.
Yeah.
And the only way they can tell you your fortune is to do a bit of research into you, because that's a load of shite over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm telling you, you go to South America and you believe these people, because they are true. They can. It's black magic as far as I'm concerned. They told her that she would be crossing water twice and the same was going to happen again. And it did in Ireland. They crossed water from Uruguay to Italy.
Okay.
From Italy to Ireland. So she crossed water twice, and she said, and the same thing is going to happen again. And when we came back here in Ireland, they were robbed again of all their possessions in Inchicore.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, that's a fact. And that's a fact. And it's funny now looking back at it, you know.
But would you say that then your mum is gullible in believing these things then? Or she just falls into... You know what I mean? What I'm saying is...
I believe that you should believe, because I believe. I'm not joking. I am not. I'm not
saying I don't believe you.
And I believe in it. And my mother, like many other old people, yeah, she would believe in it, and probably gullible a lot, like a lot of older people.
Mm-hmm.
But where does that leave me? I believe in it because I've gone through it.
Uh-huh.
Like, I've been to the Caribbean.
Okay.
Right, 4 or 5 times now. And if I see any one of these places or women that are going around that look like gypsies, I'll run. I'm not joking. Like, I mean, we were there now last
just the
November.
picture of you running is
I'm fucking telling you. In Punta Malfa, I tell you now, I was driving and I was in Punta Malfa, just stopped traffic. Now, there was 3 cars on the road, right? Traffic in Punta Malfa. And this Romanian gypsy comes and knocks on my door, on the window. I nearly did a Yui to get away from her. I wouldn't open. I'm not joking you. I really am scared of them.
So it's all this. Okay, so your mum goes to this fortune teller, and did this influence your mum to move to back to Italy and move to Ireland, or was this something in her head then? How do you read that?
I know my dad didn't want to go back to Italy because he was having probably a life that he would have dreamt of having. Mm-hmm. Like, from being a shepherd, now all of a sudden he's a well-off man. And
he's respected.
A young man. Yeah, and he was a young man.
How old was he?
Oh, jeez, back in this, he was born in 1935, so I mean, he would have only been about 35, 55, 20, 60. He would have only been in his late 30s, you know, or early 30s, actually.
Yeah, well.
You know, so there was plenty in him. He didn't want to go back to Italy. My mom was the one that wore the trousers.
All Italian women, all do that.
But, you know, probably from my dad, it was a good thing because he was a good worker. But I'd say, like, I remember when I was in Inchicore and I'd be broke and I wanted to go out that night, I couldn't go to my mother and ask her for a $5, you know. My dad would give it to me, no problem. And my mother was always the one that banked the money and everything. Otherwise, I would have had nothing, because I'd say my dad would be like me, fucking spend whatever you have, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But Yeah, he never really wanted to go back to Italy. But after that, my mother was adamant, that's it, I'm getting out of here.
Because there was a lot going on in Uruguay at the time. There was a revolution.
There was a revolution.
Yeah. There was an economy boom when you were there.
And yeah.
It was like the Celtic Tiger basically happening in Uruguay.
Yeah.
And then when you were leaving, there was this kind of communism was coming. Was that?
No, it wasn't. It was right wing.
Okay.
He was a general actually, Artiga. But then Uruguay then back in the 80s became good again.
Okay.
But yeah, it was tough. They got the good years, and then I'd say the late 60s, mid 70s, it was bad.
It was bad.
But a lot of people that stayed there, they made it through. Like all the Italians from our area that are there, like there's Mingo, Liegio, like he would have, or Cirefici, sorry, he'd have a farm. Like we went back, and the only way to get around it is in a jeep or a horse. Like, I mean, the thing was probably a size of, well, it can't be the size of Ireland because Uruguay is small, but huge, absolutely huge. They have the best wine in Uruguay. That's the most expensive wine that's sold from his farm. They're really, really wealthy.
We were talking about wine the other day, actually, weren't we? Where's the best wine? Now we figured it out. It's Uruguay.
Well, that's the best one in Europe. But it actually was a lovely wine because we tasted, but it was expensive for there. It was something like $7 or something, for a bottle, where you can get the other crap for about €1 or €2. But anyway, the heat of the hunt, they moved back to Italy, and
so what did your mum and dad do then when they moved back?
Oh God, basically they just helped around and worked a bit of land, and always wanting to go somewhere else because they knew what they brought back to Italy was 10 million lira at the time. It'd be the equivalent of about £4,000 or £5,000, right? Okay, it was still a bit of money. Like you could buy a house in Italy for that.
They already had a house, did they?
No, they didn't have a house in Italy now at this stage. We were living with my grandmother and my uncle between the places, you see. So basically, they had to go again.
And so when you moved back to Italy, you didn't have Italian?
I would have had very little Italian, but quite, like in the house, my mum and dad would speak Italian, so you'd have what we, dialect Italian.
Yeah. Useless Italian.
Useless, well, unless you're going outside Casalattigo, then you're fucked out. Anyway, they knew they had to go again.
Yeah.
They had to move again because there was nothing, still in the 60s, there was nothing doing in Italy. So they got an offer to come to Ballyfermot, Ireland, with the Matassas, Guido Matassa and Pierino
of all
Matassa.
Places, from Uruguay.
Oh, great, brilliant, fucking great.
To Ballyfermot.
Anyway, off we go to DC's Road, like in 69, and I stayed a couple of years in Italy, went to school for a couple of years. We had a school up in La Macchia, you know that?
Did you? Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, there was two.
There was two?
Two, yeah. There was one for the donkeys, basically.
No, donkey people or donkeys?
Put it this, donkey people. In Italy, you do exams. So if you're in first class, to get the second class, you have to pass your exam.
Okay.
So I went in, I would have been 7 years of age. And there'd be 13 fucking 14-year-olds in third class still. Could
you name it? Could you name a few?
I don't want to put, I had a couple of cousins, let's say, there anyway, No, I wouldn't. Like, I mean, there was this guy, like, a very good friend of mine. He was after spending 5 years in second class.
For fuck's sake.
It was unbelievable. Ticks. Anyway, off we go to Ballyfermot after school. And
Adam, maybe it was you.
We went off the DC's Road, and my mum and dad are working away. And
so they're working with the Matassas.
The Matassas, yeah, lovely people. And they put me into the De La Salle in Ballyfermot.
What class were you in?
Well, I went straight into third here as well.
Third class,
yeah, primary.
Okay.
Right. Not a word of English.
Okay.
But I knew Italian, obviously. I knew I was Italian, so you knew Italian. And then bastard, you knew, because it's a universal fucking word. So Italian and bastard meant you're an Italian bastard. That's all I knew. So basically I used to get into a fight every bleeding day, and I got battered, and I'm not joking, I was being bashed every day. And then there's Celeste Matassa, who would have been a couple of years older than me. He was in the same school, and you'd think he'd help me. Like, you're on your break and you're getting battered there by a fella. You'd think he'd help you. He'd be looking at you and serve you right and all this shit. So off we go to dinner, go back in another fight because that's the way it was. I mean, imagine in those days, I didn't know what a foreigner was in Ireland. You know, when you think about it. And then you're sitting in beside him. The heel of the hunt, I had to do something about this. So there was this guy sat beside me. We called him Chokey Mar. The reason we called him Chokey Mar is he used to get his jumper and he'd twist the neck of it, right? And he'd be swinging on his chair back and forward and twisting the neck. And you'd see his face going from white to red, purple, and then at blue, you kind of go like that to him. You know, you give him a knock, you're going to choke, like, you know, because he's going blue. So they called him Chokey Mar. But he was a great goer. That's what we used to say. He was a great goer, you know. So we became friends. And from that day on, no one bothered me anymore.
Because you're friends with Chokey Mar.
Friends with Chokey Mar. Any fucking trouble, Chokey will be there. Good luck. So we got over the De La Salle. Great days, I have to say.
Is the school still open?
It is, yeah. It is. Yeah, the Christian Brothers. I remember fucking Father Augustine, and they used to have leathers. You know, the leather strap, yeah. And also the rulers. But to put rulers, 3 and 4 rulers together. But they wouldn't go flat. They'd turn the fucking ruler. And I'm telling you, put your hand out there and you have to take it. Because if you pull it back, that's an extra 2.
Oh, so you couldn't even pull back?
Oh, you're mad. But the worst was the leather, believe it or not, because the bastard used to have the pennies on it. The priest.
Ah, Jesus.
Yeah, he used to have...
So they're...
Oh, they were animals. But they were good.
They were good,
you know. They were, no, because in all fairness, you're going to school. Don't act a maggot. It's easy to say when you're not a child anymore, but at the time we were all kids and you're always bound to get into trouble. But you used to put, like, pennies. Do you remember the old pennies?
Yeah.
The fucking things are huge. Like, and you used to strap them to the leather strap.
So they were thinking of other ways of torturing you.
Oh, it's absolute
went
torture.
From 1 ruler to 3 rulers, then wrap it with the leather, then let's put a few pennies on it.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Thank God, like, in those days, at least we didn't get fucking exactly what I said. They were all right that way, you know. I don't think there was any
go that
pedophilia.
way. Well,
I don't think. I never heard of pedophilia in the De La Salle and Ballyfermot.
Well, thank God for that.
From then, we moved to Inchicore. So you go from the frying pan to the fire, like, you know. Inchicore at the time, we used to have Keogh Square.
Keogh Square.
Your mother used to work around the corner from us. We were in Benny's in Inchicore.
Okay.
And she was in the Ritz with the Macquarie's.
Okay.
Right? And there used to be the flats there. There was the second tallest flats in Dublin. Like you had Ballymun and then you had in Inchicore, Michael's Estate and Keogh Square.
Is Keogh Square still there?
Well, the Keogh Square is, but nothing is on it. Like, and the flats are not there anymore either. They knocked them down. But that was rough. I mean, you think Ballyfermot was rough. Around Keogh Square and Michael's Estate. It was really rough. And we'd have the chip and I'd be playing up there with the kids every day and then not a bother. No one ever bothered. So basically made a lot of good friends. Nice to know these people when you were young, you know, because no one ever bothered my dad in the shop because they knew, you know, the parents would have known me and all that. So no one ever bothered. Because in those days, the shops, you know, well, you don't, your father would know. We used to get a lot of trouble, broken windows and people doing jump overs. And just because you were foreign, they come in and bait the crap out of you, you know. A lot of things like that. Don't forget that, like, years ago, Italians were probably the only ones here that were foreign. There was no Chinese yet.
But you only seen Chinese people on Funderland. On St. Stephen's Day. That's where you used to see. That's the only time I ever seen Chinese.
Yeah, but see, we didn't have Funderland.
He didn't have Funderland.
Well, we didn't have casinos. We had nothing. But the casinos were in everybody's house every second night. But anyway, but we were the only ones that were foreign, really, you know. And as far as I don't remember, Chinese, I think, started coming in around 74, 75.
Okay.
You know.
And so how would you meet up? You were saying that then... So you'll meet up all the Italians.
Well, the Italian, our parents would have gone to the fish market in Smithfield and vegetable market. So they'd go there 2-3 times a week. I remember Tuesday and Saturday anyway.
I remember my dad taking me before.
And you'd be going there at 5-6 o'clock in the morning to get the best of fish. But they used to go to the pub I don't know what it's called. It's still there. There was a pub on the market beside the tax office, and they'd meet in there in the lounge, and they'd have their coffee and a halfpenny. It was called, and they used absolutely fabulous, the ham and cheese sambo toasted with brown sauce. It was brilliant, and I'm not joking, they'd be there till sometimes 10, 11 o'clock.
Ham and cheese sandwich and with brown sauce.
Yeah, and a coffee.
What was the coffee like? I'm sure you questioned the coffee.
I wasn't drinking coffee, but they all used to have the coffee, but it was the halfpenny they wanted, which was the whiskey after it.
Oh, okay.
Coffee and a halfpenny.
It's not Gabby.
So it was coffee and whiskey. So they'd be going out there fucking locked sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, jeez, they'd be going home at 10 o'clock in the morning. Locked.
Wow.
Locked. No such thing as fucking no drinking driving.
Yeah, but it was happening then.
But that's where they used to meet on a Tuesday and Saturday. And then Saturday afternoons, they'd go to the Phoenix Park. Opposite the Pope's Cross. That's where we used to always meet in the one place. And you could sometimes, on a Sunday, you could find 100 Italians there. Kids and families. And you bring food. You know, you go down 10 o'clock in the morning, you stay there till about 2:30, 3, because then they have to go and open the shops. And that's where they used to meet. And they'd play bocce, they'd play football, they'd play cards. A lot of money on that grass there was. Right? And then from that, they decided that
they were playing bocce. Remember you were telling me about the bocce,
yeah.
Right? So what is bocce? Explain to me
bocce. Is it's like bowls, except that the actual bowl is round. In bowls, it's not round.
It's a bit oval.
It's a bit oval,
like a testicle, more or less.
So it's the same game.
Yeah. Same game, is it?
It's the same game, but you have to get closer to that jack.
Okay.
It's as simple as that, you know. And
you buccino.
But in the Italian game, like you can, with the bocce, you throw it up in the air and hit the bocce.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you can do that in bowls. I think you can only roll it in bowls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people complained that we were playing a dangerous game and it could, you know, and one of those bowls could hit some. But you're in the 18 or 30 odd acres of land, and back in the 70s there weren't that many cars on the road. Like, you know, basically it was just being anti-Italian. That's all it was, and they didn't want us to have somewhere, you know, to meet and all that. So the Italians decided they would start their own club up in Tebradden, the Italian club.
When did that start? That was 72.
No,
was it?
I think it was in the 80s.
Was it 80s?
I think it might have been the 80s. Yeah, it could have been late 70s. I'm not sure. Was it 75?
I don't know. I remember my dad taking me up there as a kid.
Yeah, a lot of Italians put money together and bought a bit of land and started building. And now Donato Borza would have been the main man for this.
That's right. Yeah. What a gent.
And he did a lot of the work up there himself, and had a very busy shop in Tala, and still found time to do it, you know. But they started meeting up there then, and then the Club Italiano started and all. But I think Club Italiano was already there, but they hadn't got a base.
Yeah.
You know, you know, we would have started being in our teens, like 16, 17, and CB radios were on then. The big thing.
CB radios. Tell us about the CB radio.
CB radio, basically, a lot of people now, the young people wouldn't even know what a CB is. It's a two-way radio that you'd put in a car or in the house, and you could talk to someone else that's around. Like now they have mobiles to do these things, you know. We used to have to go into the car or into... But anyway, and you didn't always get to be... So we started our own club as well. Bruno Lupo would have been the main man. He was the president, and I was, again, like, always mixed up in something. I was a secretary, and that's where Mafia came from. My handle or my nickname was Mafia.
I was hoping I remember you telling me this, I thought you were involved in some racketeering, or you put someone in the canal.
We were involved in racketeering, but it's nothing to do with Mafia.
So you gave yourself the name Mafia. You're a Mafia 1.
I was Mafia 1.
Johnny Mafia.
Johnny Mafia.
And that's how we know you today is Johnny Mafia.
Yeah, it's one of the names that actually stuck, and the other one was Fortuno Aprile, which is hot dog. He's hot dog.
I question that name. Where did he give himself that
name? Well, I tell you now, I actually had to think of his first name coming up here. Because all I know him as is hot dog. I swear to God. You know.
And tell me this, could you only talk in those radios now? Explain, like, is it only regional, or could you talk to someone in Italy with that?
I tell you now, there was, he still is, Angelo Marcella. he used to be up in Churchtown. He still is. The shop is still up there. Marcella's in Churchtown. And we fit a PDL2 aerial on his roof. It was the highest point of anybody around. We used to go onto Channel 19 at night and transmit through Angelo, because we'd tell Angelo, can you see if such and such a person is on? Because from car to car, depending on the waves, even if he was 200 yards away, you mightn't get him, depending on the waves.
Okay.
But yet you could talk to someone outside in Brazil.
Oh, really?
Depending on the radio, on the waves, yeah.
Wow. Fucking hell.
So we used to talk through Angelo, Churchtown boy. We used to talk through Angelo throughout the city, because he could get everyone in the city.
Wow. So you could talk to someone in Brazil.
We used to send cards to each other. Like, you'd send, like, I've spoken to such and we'd have our own. We were the Echo India International was the name of our club, and we'd have boosters as well in the car, to boost your power, which was illegal seemingly. But
what did that do?
Well, it boosts your signal, but like a lot of the people took it out of a little bit too much. Like Sacco, Luigi Sacco, I remember he used to have a 2,000 watt booster under the seat of his car. Now, if you pulled up beside him, right, with your CB, and you were on your CB, and he switches on to talk to somebody, you just hear blow up your radio, because it was too much power. Wow. And then there was Kojak, which would have been
Kojak. Yeah, I remember Kojak. Who was Kojak now?
Kojak would have been Hot Dog's uncle, Giovanni.
So was that his nickname on
Kojak,
the radio?
yeah. Kojak. He was in Richmond Street, in the Aprile in Richmond Street.
Okay.
And he was another one. He had 2,000 watts, but he was stationary. He was in his house. And I remember I used to switch off my radio when I'd be going into town, if I was to go by Richmond Street, just in case he was on.
Because you would get blown up.
Oh, you get blown up. Because, like, it's too much. Like, even I had probably 100, 150 watt underneath. But these guys, like, I mean, they took it really serious. So with one of them, with that power, depending on the waves, you could speak to Australia. Someone spoke to somebody just off the Antarctic on a rig.
Wow.
Yeah. And the beauty was, when they send you back the card, you post that up on that wall of yours, and you show everybody, look, I spoke to this person. We used to have thousands of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Good old days. Our rise to fame was...
This was your Facebook?
This was Facebook, yeah. It was great for picking up the women.
But you couldn't really see them.
Well, you go and take a look. You'd meet up quick enough. You'd be radio to car to car.
Did you ever meet up with any of them?
Oh, loads. All of them did. Just me. Loads. But the rise to fame was one night. We're going down Parkgate Street, and this guy was giving a distress signal in the Phoenix Park that he was having a heart attack, and then he went dead. And it so happened that I was going down Parkgate Street, and his signal was fairly strong on my thing. I said, Jesus Christ, I could actually find this fella, because whatever he did, he left his hand pressed on the mic, right? Uh-huh. So his signal was still going out. So I could see the strength of the signal. So
as you were getting closer,
as you're getting closer, obviously the signal gets stronger.
Uh-huh.
And we found a car and got the ambulance for him.
And you saved them?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, the ambulance. But yeah, that's
and could you hear geez, that's a great story. So you saved someone's life with that, and you're ploughing women as well with the thing.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go as far as that. Oh yeah, but you should,
And could you hear the Gardaí as well? Could you hear?
No. You could.
What kind of signal were they on?
You could if you went into their signal. No, we couldn't do that.
Off record, we couldn't do that.
There was ways of doing it. I remember one night we were playing cards in Rathmines in Aurelio's place, Flames. And
Flames was the chipper, was it?
Yeah, he was a chipper, a little takeaway. And we were playing cards, but he had a CB radio there, and we were listening on the cop band anyway. The Gardaí band, and they're chasing this Golf from the north side, and we were listening to this fucking chase, and they were coming up Richmond Street at this stage, and they had a roadblock just at the bridge at Portobello. We were only up the road. I said, that sounds a red, I don't remember if it was red or white golf. I said, that's fucking Felix Fusco. So we decided, let's go down to Portobello. We go down to Portobello. There's Felix Fusco and Libro Borza. And they wouldn't get out of the car. And the guard is knocking on the window. Show me your license. He gets his license, puts it up against the window, wouldn't open up the window. No, because you said bother me when I come out. So basically it was Fino. Libro next door, sitting in next to him. Anyway, they took the two of them away.
This is Libro in Dean's Grange.
Libro Borza. He would be in Balbriggan.
Ah, okay.
Okay. You know Felix Fusco? No, you wouldn't. He's in Meath Street.
Is this the kickboxing?
Yeah, that's the father.
That's his father now.
Yeah, Philip would be the father. And Packy was, like, growing up, Packy would have been one of my best friends. They're second cousins to me. But we, like, we grew up together.
He's a legend.
Packy?
Yeah.
Packy is, like, you go into town and you say to someone, you know, Pasquale Fusco, and by Jay's nearly everyone would know him, you know?
That's great.
It's brilliant. It's a great social life.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, so we used to listen every now and then to the guards as well. But our main thing, you know what it was, like, and you couldn't do it now. Like, we'd go to Chivago. That was a nightclub in Bagger Street, Barbarella's and all that. And we'd meet the Italians our age, and if they weren't busy that night after it, right, we'd all go for a game of football at 3 and 4 in the morning.
Where would you play football?
The middle of Rathmines Road. In the middle of Rathmines Road. And I'm not joking, you'd be 15 aside. Not only 10 or 9 or 7. It'd be, and you'd think the Gardaí say anything to you, they'd join in. But you'd only see a car every 10 minutes going by. You know, and we used to play football on Rathmines Road.
What year was that?
You're talking 77, 78.
Oh, wow.
And it was brilliant, you know, harmless fun, and you wouldn't get home till fucking 6:30, 7, 10 o'clock sometimes, and out in the shop at 11:30.
Deadly.
And you do it. And 12 o'clock, you're wide awake again and start again. Do it again. To be young.
And so this is, so what year was this now?
I'd say you're talking late, not even late, 77, 78, yeah. Would have been brilliant times. Like, I know you lot wouldn't appreciate that now, but I wish we could go back to that and get rid of all these fucking phones and everything else.
Oh yeah. I hate my phone, but I need it for work, banking.
But how
everything.
did we get along? How did we meet up? There are other ways of doing things, you know, and it was better. I feel it was better. It was more fun anyway. I guarantee it was more fun than it is now. Like, I mean, now it's just, you don't have to move from that seat and you can do whatever you fucking want.
Yeah.
In those days, you had to get up from that seat, but you could do it.
Yeah.
And no one ever went missing just because you hadn't got a phone, you know. They weren't calling the guards. I haven't spoken to my son in 3 hours, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you could be fucking gone for 24 hours and no one, well, they would give a shit, but they couldn't contact you. You know, if it was something serious, I'm sure the guards would have been there before that. So it was great. It was brilliant. And it was all harmless fun. Like, we left a fellow up in Dublin Mountains. It was just over from Italy once. We'd meet up in Chivago, obviously, every Saturday night anyway. On Tuesday and Saturday nights were our nights. But as soon as they were fresh off the boat, you know, someone would bring them to Chivago, and as soon as we'd see them, like,
Chivago was a chipper.
No, Chivago was
a nightclub. Okay,
right? Sorry. So, like, we were all fuckers. Like, we were here a few years, so we knew. We used to go up to Ticknock if we didn't get women, in other words, right? Late at night, we'd have to get up to some sort of mischief. We used to go up to Ticknock. And at the time, Ticknock was a knocking place. Like, you know, you can get a bird up to Ticknock and then bring her back down, right? There was these two, one way up, one way down. There was 2 boulders at the entrance. And I remember
why were the boulders there?
It was like just to show that that's the way in. One on each side.
Okay.
Right. But there was nothing on one side and there was 3s on the other. So basically, fine. Just an entrance type of thing. But we used to go up there and we play. Imagine playing hide and seek at 18, 19 years of age. But in the middle of the night. Right? in the middle of the fucking night and knocking. Like, and if you did see someone, you'd give them a couple of slaps, you know, of your own, because you caught them and all this. But this particular night, there was a couple of cars up there, so we'd be hiding in the trees, throwing fucking little pebbles at the car, you see, because they were shagging and we weren't, to annoy them, right? So we annoyed the first car. We annoyed the second car, and this fella comes out and he's fucking got a baton and everything, and he's gonna batter out. We couldn't see us, we were hiding. So we decided, we're gonna fix those two fuckers. What did we do? 13 of us. We moved one of the boulders out in the middle, so they couldn't come down. So they were left there at least overnight up there. They couldn't come down with the cars. They couldn't get through the boulders. There was only 2 of them up there, right? 2 cars meant 4 people. It took 13 of us to move it. And even at that, we were struggling. So they weren't coming down for that night. Harmless fun, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But it's harmless, but now they fucking shoot you.
Oh, that's gas.
Crack
So, yeah.
used to happen.
So tell me this. So your mum and dad, they were running a shop in
Inchicore.
In Inchicore.
Yeah.
And was there any point where your mum and dad wanted to go back to Uruguay or go back to Italy?
Not Uruguay, but it was always their intention to spend, make enough money over here to build their own house and be self-sufficient for their old age. So basically, they were here since 1669 till 88. What's that? Say 70, 80, not even 20 years, was it?
No, not even 20.
Yeah, and they built their own house. They actually
Here or in Italy?
No, in Italy. They
so they were living above the shop.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's
what
the way
they
it was.
did.
Overhead. The shop wasn't theirs. There was a lease. So they built their own house, bought a shop in Italy, got a bit of rent, retired back to Italy, and my dad got 25 years out of it anyway, and then died, and my mother just 3 years more, and she died then. But they enjoyed at least 25 years of their life, you know. It's what they always wanted to do. Go back, simple life again. But they weren't worried whether there was going to be food on the table. So it was fine for them. In actual fact, I think they saved more on their pension and rent while they were over there than they fucking made over here.
But they were different. And do you have brothers and sisters?
No. Thank God.
And so did you ever go back to Uruguay?
I went back, you know, we go back to the stories, you know, if you're a kid, 4, 5, 6 years of age, and you see things, they kind of stick to you. And I've travelled the world. I've gone to Australia. I've gone as far as China. Well, not China, but near Thailand. Anyway.
What did you go do in Thailand, Johnny?
Basically just scenery. And I never went back to Uruguay because it was just something that stuck to me head, and if I never seen it again, I didn't want to go through that again. So for my 60th, I said, fuck it. I'll go back. And it was probably the best thing I did.
Did you go with your kids?
No, I went with my partner, Jackie, and my cousin picked us up. Well, we hired a car, but she brought us back to where she lived. She still lives in the same house where we were.
Wow.
A couple of 100 yards away from our own house. And the night I arrived, I actually started crying to see, like, open sewerage. And when we were there, it was like, to me, I thought it was heaven. But I don't remember seeing fucking water running down the side of the road or whatever. It was a kip. It was like what you see, you know, you see Mexican film and favelas and all this.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't favelas, but it was like that. It was absolutely, you wouldn't walk it.
Do you ever see the film about, it's about Frank McCourt in Limerick. It's called Angela's Ashes.
Yeah, Angela, yeah.
Is that something like this?
Worse. I'm not joking, you're worse.
Who's that, Jackie?
No, it's Lister, believe it or not.
Let's not get into that.
Anyway, when I got there, it was really horrible. I went into her house, and this was about 9:30 at night. And I said, I'm going to go for a walk. And I said, my cousin was going mad. Where are you going to go for a walk? Blah, blah. And then they wanted to come. I said, no, I want to go on my own. I want to go and see where the house is. What's it like now.
And why did you want to go on your own? Because you were emotional?
Because I was emotional. I didn't want to show my emotions to anyone else, So off I went, a couple of 100 yards. The school was still there. The house was there. And there was this fella outside the house drinking mate. Mate is it's a tea, herbal. It's not tea.
Is this the one in a little pot with the straw?
Yeah, with a little pot and a straw, whatever it is. Well, it's not a straw actually. It's like a pipe.
Yeah.
You put it in there and they carry around in Uruguay and drink that shit. It calms them down. And I explained in my worst Spanish ever because I hadn't spoken Spanish in so long. But he understood who I was, brought me in.
He understood who you were?
I understood because he'd been speaking to my cousin Lydia. And he knew who I was and brought me in, showed the house, still the same pavement on the ground that my dad had put down.
Wow, amazing.
You know that in the old days they used to do this, it's like a marble, but it's not marble, with a little...
Bits of stone.
The
terrazzo, wasn't it?
Yeah, terrazzo, yeah. It was still there. And I said, and what do you have in the front here? It was like a container. He says, oh, that's not a container. He says, what happens here is if you leave your house for a few days, somebody on a bit of land will just start building there and that's it. You won't get them out, even if it's yours. So somebody had actually put a fucking shack in front of his house in the garden and he can't get him out. But anyway.
We're close enough to doing that here.
Yeah. Off I went across the road, looked around the school, the outside, and I seen floodlights on. So I walked down, and there was a football match on, friendly match, and there was this couple sitting on a bench, and I sat beside them, started talking to them, and smoking the ganji as well, because that's legal over there. You're not allowed to smoke it outside, actually, but fucking 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night.
If you can build a shack in someone's front of the house, they're going to tell you about that.
You're not allowed to smoke it on the road, but it's legal anyway.
Okay,
right?
Great.
But in the meantime, there's a fucking posse out looking for me because I was gone a couple of hours. They couldn't find me. So they're fucking driving around everywhere looking for me. And I must be 50 yards away from the house, sitting down, having a fucking bit of ganji with them, looking at a match. Off they come. And my cousin was crying and everything else because she fucking thought that I was at them and fucking taken away, kidnapped.
Thrown on the rails.
Me. So it was an absolute kip. But I can actually tell you, Uruguay is gorgeous, beautiful. We went into Montevideo, went to Punta del Este. Punta del Este is the Monaco of South America. It's Americanized a lot. Now, obviously, where they've set foot, it's all burgers and all this shit. But it's nice. Just where we were seems to be I don't know, I'm not going to put a name to this, but it's like the rough places, one of the Joes. Whatever, right? It's a pretty shitty place. But she still lives there and says she wouldn't move. And she's well off. She has three apartments in Montevideo and she wouldn't move from where she's staying. I suppose it's like everywhere else. If you know the people around you, no one's going to touch you anyway.
So you've been to all these places, Johnny. Where do you see yourself retiring?
Well, I am retired.
Are you really?
Since
I rang you the other day. You were working.
No. Oh, maybe I was given a hand, but no. That's I'm finished since 2018, and the boys took over. And what I'm doing now is, while I still can't travel, I'm trying to do 6 months here, 6 months in Italy. I don't know going forward. I don't think there'll be a 12-month in Italy. I wouldn't, unless it's one of these things that I can't travel. But the winter is very harsh in Italy, and very boring around our area. While here, at least, you can come out and talk to your next door neighbour, and walk somewhere. I don't see myself, my family's over here. So I don't see myself just fucking off to Italy and staying there. I don't know. 6 and 6 at the moment seems to be the right thing to do. Get the good months over there and the bad months over here.
Well, I tell you what now, Johnny, that was a great story.
That's it. That's about it.
Nothing else. Thank you very much, Johnny, for coming down. That was brilliant. And I hope you all the best, and probably get you back on and we could talk about more stuff. But anyway, listen,
Growing
John.
up in Dublin.
Thank you very much, John. That was great.
Great
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you.
That's bad.